Hello, hello. Greetings, Black people. Greetings, everyone watching this recording of the Black Leadership and Opportunity Center Tuesday Talks. I send you greetings virtually wherever you are. My name is Emerald Green. Pronouns are she and her. I'm serving as our program director for the Black Leadership and Opportunity Center, intimately known as the Block. So hello, if you found this recording, that means you're interested in not only the Tuesday Talks program, but also UROP, and you're wanting to know more about the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program here at San Jose State University. So I have two amazing humans with us today. They're going to share more about the UROP program and why you, the student, should get excited and engaged on the next time that we have this opportunity to offer you come spring. And so I'm gonna just, let you know a little bit more about who these guys are and what they do right here at San Jose State. So we're just gonna start off with some quick intros, and then we're gonna get into the presentation. So I wanna welcome Dr. Andrew Carter into the virtual space and Jamal Williams. Hello, hello.
Thank you for having us today, Emerald. We're excited to talk a little bit more about a program we developed recently. But before we do that, who are these guys? I like that slide. I don't love that picture of me, but whatever, we'll go with that. My name is Jamal Williams. I am currently serving Community and Government Relations, Office of the President, as the Director of Advocacy for Racial Justice. I was the former Emerald, if you can believe that. I used to run the Block. I used to be the program director of the Block. And before that, I worked at Peer Connections as the assistant director over hiring and training. So I've been on campus about 7 years, and I have a passion for seeing students do undergraduate research as one myself. I'll get a little more into that, but yeah, this is where I am now, and I'm excited to be working with Andrew on this project.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamal. Yeah, Dr. Andrew Carter. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Public Health and Recreation. I'm also the current online director of our Masters of Public Health program, and then as well as the director of the inaugural cohort of the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program. Also, I'm the former liaison with the Block when it was the AAB SSC before the name change. So yeah, definitely have somewhat of a long-standing partnership with the Block. So definitely happy to be here and happy to have this conversation today. So yeah, so basically what we're going to do is over the past year or so, Jamal and I have created this or brought this Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program to San Jose State. Something we're really excited about. Jamal was really the kind of one that spearheaded this program and brought it to the school. I've just kind of been, helping him to develop it and institutionalizing it across campus. But we're just going to talk a little bit about the program, some of the different components of it, brief history of it, what some of the current cohort is doing, and then if you have interested in more information or you'd like to sign up for the, so UROP is going to go annually, right? So if you're interested in joining at the beginning of next academic year, we'll have some information for you as well. But we're going to start today. Jamal is going to give just a brief history, kind of the roots of UROP, where it came from. Jamal is actually a former member of UROP when he was an undergrad. So he'll tell you a little bit about his story and then kind of how UROP has come to San Jose State.
All right, absolutely. And don't be so modest, Andrew. You're running the program right now. As much as I was the kind of the brainchild of it. So brief history. All right, so I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Go Blue. And they had this really cool program called the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program. What was it? Was a first generation college student myself. I show up to the university, and I get admitted, and then they have these like days where you can come and learn about the school. We call them Admitted Spartan Days here. So I show up, and there's this program that's like, hey, you ever done research? I'm like, done a little bit. Do you want to do research? Do you want to work with the faculty? We have this program for students where you can work with a faculty member, get assigned with a peer mentor, work with a peer group and do this research project. And be able to either get paid through work study or get college course credit. And I was like, you had me at get paid. So I signed up. I signed up for this program where I could do roughly 10 to 12 hours a week working with the faculty. It had a class associated with it and a peer group. We were all in what was called the biomedical sciences peer group. And so we all wanted to be doctors or dentists or some kind of science researchers. But the cool part about that program was you didn't have to know a faculty member. You didn't have to know anything about the campus. So like when I showed up my first day as an 18-year-old first year student, I instantly was in this program, instantly had this peer mentor to help guide my success, and had was able to get on a project working with a doctor at the medical school at the University of Michigan. It changed everything. It changed the course of like getting internships. It helped change my resume. It helped connect me to other people. Eventually, I decided I loved working with the UROP program more and more, working as a peer mentor than actually being a researcher. I wanted to be a doctor. But this program started in 1989 at the University of Michigan. It's since been replicated at multiple schools. The university, Long Beach State University, has the same program. And so when I got to campus, it was just something I wanted to help bring to our students, so that you're a new student coming in and you thought about, where your career could go. Research is part of every career. There's always a question that needs to be answered. How can we connect you to that experience as a first year student, as a second year student, or as a brand new transfer student? And so this is kind of how it started. We've been trying to pilot it in small ways here on this campus for about 5 years. And this past year, we've been able to get some small bit of funding to support Andrew. And just Andrew's support has helped kind of take it over the top. So that's where it is. It's kind of a movement across the country from Michigan to the Bay Area. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamal. As Jamal noted, we're bringing it here to San Jose State, but the roots go back to 1989 at University of Michigan. And now you're seeing it, across countries, across, multiple different, regions, seeing Europe kind of manifest itself in different ways. And so there's been a lot of work looking at the evidence or the benefits and the effectiveness of Europe, right? And some of the benefits that research has shown as it relates to Europe is students who participate in Europe are more engaged in their education experience. Students who participate in Europe understand the value of networking with people and seeking help when needed. And Europe alumni are more likely to go on to graduate and professional school. One of the reasons for that is kind of demystifying the process of graduate school, right? So the current class, the cohort that we're in now, we talk a lot about this idea of kind of demystifying the research process, right? It's this initial cohort is first generation students. And so talking about things like the hidden curriculum, right? And then what are the things that they weren't told in terms of, creating social networks and these things that students need to be looking out for early on in their process to have success at the next level. So these are some of the things that Europe has shown evidence to be successful in. Some of the student-reported benefits for participating in Europe is developing self-confidence, developing relationships with interdisciplinary faculty and staff. It helps students clarify their career path and understand demands of the field. It socializes students into a discipline or gets them oriented into thinking about problems or solutions within a particular framework or disciplinary context. Developing leadership skills, as well as changing the content of letters of recommendation, right? So now when you're applying for jobs, you have, people that can speak on your behalf in a different capacity than just a regular, than just a traditional student.
Yeah, and one of the things I really like this slide, Andrew, because one of the things I like to ask students as they're thinking about, their what's next? And you ask a student, what's on your resume? One of the beautiful things about this program is as a first year student, I was able to put on my resume student research assistant, right? And have documented bullet points about stuff I did that looked way better than almost any other job I could have worked to find on a college campus. And there's nothing wrong with any job. You still get experience. But having that direct link of student research experience, having that faculty member who works at the school, who's invested in your success, who wants to talk to you about your goals, how to get towards your goals, how to study, how to just be a college student is something that it's hard to find without, that direct pairing. You eventually do. You eventually meet a professor in class, but this is a way where you instantly have that in your first semester. And the third one, letters of recommendation. Sometimes those are just hard to come by. It's hard to know who to ask. It's hard to know who really knows you that well enough to write a good one. And when you're paired with a faculty member for a year, that could turn into 2 years if you all enjoy the experience. Now that person knows who you are. They know what to write about you. They know your strengths. They know what you would bring to a graduate school setting or an internship setting. And this is really some of the crux of how we know the program supports our students. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jamal. And then another thing, as we look at the slide, this idea of developing relationships with interdisciplinary faculty and staff, right? So a lot of times, even at the graduate level, we kind of are in such silos across campus, right? We're not talking across disciplines. We're not talking across subjects, across research interests. And what UARP really does is it gets you oriented early on to think about, problems and solutions and how to even think about the world from a very interdisciplinary perspective, right? So you might be, communication studies major and you're working with someone in kinesiology. And so you're asking you're looking at the same questions and you're thinking about how can I frame this in my discipline from this particular way? Or, what can I pull from kinesiology that I'm not doing here in communication studies, right? So it just provides a great opportunity early on to, one, socialize you into a particular discipline, to a particular discipline, but also to get you to think outside of those kind of traditional boundaries and expand out across campus, which is extremely beneficial. All right. So the UARP program has what we kind of call 5 different components or 5 different legs, right? So we have the collaborative research partnership with faculty and student, the campus partners, the year-long UARP curriculum, the two-way student matching process, and then faculty and student incentives, okay? So the first one is a collaborative research partnership between faculty and student. So the cool thing about UARP is that, when I think a lot of times when you think of, providing or getting mentorship, should I say, as it relates to, having a faculty and student relationship, typically that has consisted of, the work that the faculty doesn't want to do. And it's like busy work they can just pawn off to their undergraduate students. UARP is definitely not that kind of experience, right? UARP is very collaborative, and it's more of a mentorship opportunity, right? You're not just doing the busy work. Your faculty mentor is working side by side with you, and it's almost having like a second teacher in the classroom, right? So you're getting the year-long curriculum on the one end, where you're kind of getting, the theoretical perspectives, and then you're getting the on-the-ground practice working with your faculty mentor over the entire year. So that's what we mean by having that collaborative research partnership. It's not just, pawning work off that the faculty doesn't want to do. It's really a chance to bring you along early on in your career. Some of the different campus partners that we have. So we are partnering in our inaugural cohort, we are partnering with all non-STEM disciplines, right? And then we are housing the UARP curriculum in the College of Education and the Education Leadership, Transformative Leadership minor. So ultimately in the second year, we are trying to open it back up campus wide. So if you are in a STEM discipline and you're interested in UARP, starting in 2022, you will have the ability to participate. But in this inaugural cohort, we opened it up to just non-STEM disciplines. And then we also partner with Peer Connections. And Peer Connections is an opportunity to kind of, for one of your own peer mentors to serve as a liaison between the faculty, yourself, as well as the curriculum, right? So the instructor, right? So all UARP students will be assigned a peer facilitator to help them with the initial project search, preparing for interviews, and helping to explain expectations and responsibilities. So essentially one of the main tasks is to serve as a liaison to your faculty mentors if problems and issues arise, right? Or just in general to touch base and make sure, if there's any questions that are had that they get answered. The peer mentors meet monthly with the students to discuss time management, communication with mentors, helping to prepare posters and abstracts at the end of the year colloquium, and more. Right? So really you're kind of getting assistance from multiple different levels, right? So you're getting help from your peer mentor, or help from your faculty mentor, you're getting assistance from your peer mentor, and then you're also getting that year-long UROP curriculum where you're working with your own classmates as well as the instructor. Okay. Then it helps with transition issues such as academics, roommate concerns, referrals, or key offices on campus. Jamal, did I miss anything there?
No, I think one of the cool things is, you come in as a new student or an underclass student, and you have somebody who's been through the process of doing research, right? So a lot of times when you think about how do I work with a faculty member, it's just like, okay, I have to research someone online, or I got to think about a faculty member that I had in class. I got to walk up to them, email them, ask them, can I work with them? Hope they say yes. Then now I'm just working with that faculty member, and who helps me, right? What if me and the faculty member don't get along? Who do I go to? What do I do? And the cool thing about UROP is there's support at each stage. And you have this peer who you can go to, and like, let's say, so I was a peer mentor in college for the UROP program, and students would come to me and say, Jamal, my professor, my faculty member, just keeps giving me busy work. What do I do? I don't like what I'm getting. Okay, cool. Well, let's brainstorm some suggestions. Here's how you can approach this, and here's how I'll support you on your end, right? I can email them and ask what they're giving you, and say, here's what we're hoping. And you can also go to them on your end and say, hey, I was wondering if I could do this. Now you have that support, you have that two-way support. And the cool thing is, if you go through UROP and you want to be a mentor, then you get to do that too, right? We'll have a few spots, and the bigger the program grows, the more mentors we need. Then you get the chance. And so honestly, being a peer mentor for UROP kind of guided me into wanting to work in higher ed. It was like, oh, this is fun. Like I like research, but I love doing this. And so that changed my whole, career trajectory.
Yeah.
But the support from them made it feel like something I wanted to do. It made the whole experience better. So
Jamal, talk about from the faculty perspective, how they take advantage, or not take advantage, how do they see benefits with working with the peer mentors?
Yeah, the faculty tend to, sometimes when they have like bigger questions, they'll have to ask the program directors. But when they have questions about like, how can they support their student? And you can't share too much information, but sometimes faculty will come to you with information and say, hey, I think so-and-so student might be dealing with some challenges. Is there somewhere I can help guide them to go on campus? Or what kind of resources are available for them who might be dealing with A, B, and C, or struggling with X, Y, and Z, or going through this situation? And you get the chance to talk to them and say, as a peer mentor, you've been trained, so you get the chance to talk to them and say, if you're concerned about Jamal, right? We have a writing center, you could help them, steer them towards the writing center, or we have counseling, we have CAPS, or maybe, there's tutoring here at Peer Connections. If you didn't know, we have tutoring. So we'd be happy to help provide them tutoring. So you can kind of intervene with both sets of people. And then, as a peer, you're working with students brand new to campus. They might just need to know, where do I go get some good food? Where do I go get a haircut? How do I get involved on campus? And so you really get a chance to have that person if you're a researcher, and then to be that person for the next group.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's kind of dope.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jamal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so and one of the other main components of UROP is our program curriculum. We're really excited about this. Right? So we have a one-year curriculum. So it's a total of 6 units, right? So all UROP students are going to enroll in a one-year curriculum to, again, like I said, help demystify the research process and promote professional development. So the curriculum comprises 3 main components. So the first one is just an orientation into research, right? It's kind of a baseline level of what it means to do research in terms of, looking at research ethics, research methods. How do you communicate research to lay audiences versus professional or academic audiences, right? The second one is professional development. Things like how to write a resume, how to send out a cover letter, how to send an email if you want to work with the faculty, right? And the third piece is critical consciousness. And this is, so the first part, we're going to look at the orientation and the research. And then the critical consciousness piece at the end is, where do we fit into that mix, right? So you look at research in terms of power dynamics. How is our positionality in relation to the communities that we're working with, right? Thinking about the measurement tools that you're using to define the problems, right? Just overall taking this critical consciousness and how we're framing ourselves, our communities, and overall the work that we're doing from understanding underlying power dynamics. So we really try to structure the year-long curriculum along those three lines. And so in our inaugural cohort, well, it's all going to be housed in the College of Education. Our inaugural cohort is an EDLD 160, which is part of their transformative leadership minor curriculum. And we'll talk about this in a second. Europe is going to have its own standalone course starting in academic year 2022-23. Okay. And then as far as the student matching process, so Europe uses a two-way matching process between faculty and student to ensure strong compatibility and fit. So how it works is at the beginning of the semester, all faculty will submit their list of projects and kind of the overall tasks that they would like the students to help them with, right? So they'll submit that to kind of a Google Sheet. We'll share that with all students. Students will have the opportunity to, pick and choose which ones they're interested in. Ultimately, you only get paired with one faculty mentor, but you will have the opportunity to speak to multiple faculty, right? Because we want this to be a good fit on both sides. So it's almost like a two-way interview process, right? Where the faculty and mentor will engage in an informational interview to gauge interest of both parties. So the faculty might say, hey, this is, the student seems like they're the good fit. They're a good fit in terms of what I need. But the student says, yeah, this isn't really my particular area of interest, and I want to work with this faculty instead. They will have the capacity to do that. And then depending how big the program is and how many, the ratio between student and faculty, you most likely will be required to reach out to more than one faculty. For instance, in this inaugural cohort, we almost have a 1-to-1 ratio between faculty and student. So we are limiting partnerships to one faculty student pairing for the entire academic year. But as we expand, and Jamal, talk about some of the numbers at Michigan and kind of talk about how big of a program that has become over the time.
Exactly. And also another reason why I was really excited to bring it to the institution. I was meeting a ton of faculty. And then as I got here, and everyone's like, oh, we're not a research institution, we're a teaching institution. And I was like, okay, it makes sense. But it wasn't until I started connecting with faculty in like my second year here. And I was like, yo, everybody does some really dope research on campus. Like they're asking some really amazing questions from the areas of kinesiology, philosophy, biology, public health, and sociology. And I was like, the students need to get involved in this. And I would just meet students who were mostly like fourth years or fifth years, third years. And I'm like, I was able to help answer these questions as a first year student. And so the Michigan program started with 25 students in 1989. And by the time I got there I can't say my year because then I'll sound old. But no, when I got there in 2001, which was like 20 years ago now, which is crazy. When I got to the campus in 2001, which is only 12 years later, they were up to 700 students in the program. And now they're up to like 1,500 students. So I really do see us being able to go from 14 to 50 to 70 to 100 to 100 plus, 150, just with funding and support, because the faculty are asking some really cool questions. The students have the ability to help answer those questions, and the partnership just creates, it can be successful and help be a positive experience for both parties. And we have faculty now who want 4 or 5 students. Like the opportunities are there if you want to be a part of this. Again, it's specifically for first year students, second year students who non-transfers, second year non-transfers, and then brand new transfers. So if you're brand new to the school, you can come in, or if you're second year, first time college student, you can join as well. So traditionally what they call sophomores. So yeah, if that's you watching this, like, yo, I want to be part of this, absolutely, we will have the opportunities for you.
Awesome. All right. And then another cool thing about Europe is that we have every spring, we have the end of the year research symposium. And this is, as we kind of continue to build the program out, it will shift in what it looks like. But in this kind of inaugural year, the end of the year symposium is a culminating event for all students participating in Europe. So the event celebrates partnerships created between students and research mentors and serves as a conference where students present their research project and learn more about the research that Philip Europe students have worked on throughout the program. So the inaugural symposium will be this spring, and it'll take place at the Lurie College Learning Showcase. Ultimately, as we continue to build out Europe and it becomes a standalone program, the research symposium will be its own deal. But in this inaugural year, it's going to be within the Lurie College Learning Showcase. This is a very exciting opportunity, right? Students can bring, faculty, parents, community partners, friends. It's just an opportunity, almost like a celebration to talk about the work that you have done over the last year and kind of discuss your trajectory moving forward. Okay. And so just a little bit about our current cohort. So our 21-22 cohort, we have 14 students enrolled in the initial class, right? So EDLD 160, which is titled First Generation College Student Pathways, Becoming Key Holders. And the course is a foundational course in the EDLD Transformative Leadership minor. You don't necessarily have to be involved in the minor to take the class, but you will get credit for it if that's what you choose to do. There are 13 participating mentors in the program, and there is a diverse mix of interdisciplinary approaches and research interests across campus. So just to give you a little bit of background of who's participating in the project. So if you see here, we got this chart across campus, who's engaging. So we see we have representation from a lot of different folks, right? And so we see here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different departments represented across campus, right? So we have African American Studies, Audiology, Child and Adolescent Development, Communication, Department of Kinesiology, Marketing and Business, Nursing, Philosophy, Public Health and Recreation, that's on there twice, Social Work, and then Library Sciences. So the cool thing about it, right? So you get a chance. One thing that we tell students is it might not be, you might not get a faculty in the discipline that you're in, or even necessarily the research interest that you're in, but that provides exciting opportunities to step outside of the box. Again, as we talked about, thinking about different ways to approach problems and generate solutions, right? So it really makes you, go ahead, Jamal.
You've heard this story like a billion times, but they haven't. So I need to share it with them.
Please.
One of my closest friends was in Europe. Him and I were both pre-med. He wanted to be a psychiatrist, so go to med school, study psychology, go to med school, do psychiatry, right? Just like a traditional A, B, C, D, E step. He found this project that looked at attitudes around commercials. So it was social psychology. And he did it. And I remember the next year he came back and he was like, I don't know if I want to go to med school. I kind of like this. This was cool. This kind of speaks to me. And now this dude is a marketer, works on campaigns for Volkswagen and Reebok and you name it, GE, Apple, and does marketing campaigns. Ended up changing his trajectory to use his social psychology to understand how people think about marketing, right? And it was only because of, and who knows, he might have gotten there eventually, but because of that project, because he didn't find a one-to-one like psychology lab project that spoke to him, he found something a little different just to try it and see. He was able to shift his whole thinking and career. And that's the goal of this program, right? Not to change your mind, but to expose you to other possibilities, to expand your mind, to let you know that this area that you see going in this linear path actually has branches that you can kind of veer off to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a perfect story, Jamal. And even if you don't necessarily completely change your trajectory, having that new skill set, right, or that new pair of glasses or new lens to look at the problem in a different way, even in your own discipline, is going to be extremely beneficial. So yeah, that we really enforce that interdisciplinary approach to the program. Okay. So just an idea, some current projects that we have in this current cohort. Again, wide ranging, right, across the board in terms of interest, disciplines, etc. So I'm not going to read them all, but here's just a list of some of the different projects that we have here in our current inaugural cohort.
Those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Suboxone
Suboxone.
is.
I want to say that it's for folks that are coming off meth addiction. I think.
Wow. It's pretty
Almost
awesome.
positive, but not totally sure.
Yeah.
All right. So just a little bit of a future vision for Europe. So again, we're in the inaugural cohort, really excited to build this thing out and see where it goes moving forward. Starting fall 22, Europe will have its own standalone course. So you'll be able to, when you go in the catalog and you look for EDL D10, you will see, undergraduate research opportunity program. I don't know if that'll be the exact name of it, but it will be its own Europe course, EDL D10. Okay. We're currently in the process of applying for GE status. So in the future, individuals that sign up for the course will get GE credit for taking the Europe course. Really excited about the ability and the potential to continue developing community, academic, and public partnerships to expand this out, right? The implementation of a cohort model, and Jim Mall can probably talk a little bit more about this from his experience. But once we get Europe rolling, we would like to see, maybe a biomedical sciences cohort or a community engaged cohort, right? Or a, folks that are doing work in education specifically, right? So in addition to having the general Europe program, there can be kind of legs that branch out and become their own cohort. Jamal, talk a little bit about that from what you were experiencing in Michigan.
Yeah, so a couple cool aspects of the future of the program could look like having a women in STEM cohort. So focus specifically on women or women of color in STEM, right? There's options galore. We had a community engaged research model, which was specifically looking at community organizations, and entities that did work in the community, that did research, I should say. And they would be the faculty mentor for the student. So the student will work directly with, an executive director, or some person that worked at an agency that worked with community to help do research, right? To help answer a research question. So something could be like, let's say there was a food bank, right? You could work with the food bank to research what are the neighborhoods of the people who you primarily use our services, and what kind of services do they use, right? That could be a research question that you can answer if you're a social work major or a sociology major, or anything. You could look at you could develop a survey to think about what are the attitudes of the people that use this agency. So that could be a psychology project, right? It could be an anthropological study, or around what are the resources also available that support this agency that the people in this community specifically have. And there's so many questions to ask and answer that we want to be able to partner with our local community partners to help.
Jamal, you just muted yourself.
Sorry, hit the space bar. The questions that they have given the work that they do. So that could be another way to tie in this work. So it doesn't necessarily just have to be with faculty once we build it out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And then another thing, as we noted before, increased opportunities for Europe alumni. So once you go through the year-long curriculum and work with your faculty mentor to participate in leadership roles, right? Jamal mentioned earlier that a lot of the peer mentors are former Europe alumni. And once we get this kind of process, once we get this program institutionalized, that's where we will pull the peer mentorship pool from. It will come from the alumni. An exciting opportunity for that. Also thinking about other ways to involve Europe alumni within the program once they have finished it. Okay. So yeah, so those are the main components. If you're interested in participating in Europe next year, you can contact me or Jamal for more information. Jamal, when will we start advertising this? Probably about, you say around April next year?
Yeah, we're gonna probably start reaching out to faculty to start soliciting projects in sometime March and April, and we'll be doing the same to recruit for students who are currently on our campus. So like our first year students going into their second year that weren't a part of the program. And then we'll start recruiting new students, brand new students, you know, sometime in May, June, once the students are admitted, right, officially, they're officially on the docket to come to orientation. So yeah, but if you're a first year student thinking about this program, and you watch this and you hear about it, we want you to apply next spring to be part of what's happening here.
Absolutely. And then, so we're going to share this in addition to the recording. We'll put the slides up as well. So these will be live links for you. If you're not a first year, second year transfer student, and you're thinking about other opportunities to engage in research across campus, there are several different options. A few that we noted here is the Student RISCA Fellowship. So this is an opportunity, right? If you're working with a faculty member, you can apply for the Student RISCA Fellowship. And then we also have the McNair Scholars Program. Jamal, talk a little bit about the McNair Scholars Program.
Yeah, definitely. So the McNair Scholars Program is, it's research that is focused on getting students, so BIPOC students, underrepresented students from underrepresented backgrounds into PhD programs specifically, so graduate programs. So if you're going into, I believe, your you started in your junior year and then you continue through your senior year. So it's for upper class students that you apply to the McNair Scholars. You have to apply, you have to get accepted. So it's based on a lot of different factors. But what they do is they help prepare you. So you do your research, they help prepare you for graduate school applications, help you find funding for graduate school programs, master's and PhD level, but it's for students specifically interested in going into doctoral programs that want to do research, that want to continue and be scholars, professors, researchers, etc. So if that's you, then you want to apply to this program.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Yeah, I mean, those are the main components of the program. Like I said, Jamal and I are super excited about bringing this to San Jose State. And we think it has so much potential to really change the game in terms of changing the culture around research, both for the faculty as well as the students here.
Yeah, thank y'all for listening to us. I ran along.
I'm sure folks are here in person or attending this virtually. You'd get a round of applause for the content that y'all shared today. And it's really important. And I just highly, highly encourage all the Black Spartans listening to take up, right, the offer to engage in undergraduate research. So thank you, Dr. Carter. Thank you, Jamal, for being present and just for initiating and launching this amazing program on behalf of all of our Spartans. So kudos to you both. And thanks so much for your time today.
Absolutely.
Having us.